Friday morning, and welcome to Mindful Movement with AARP Alabama. I am your host, Margie Curry, and today's session is with our certified yoga instructor, Becca Impello. Becca has been practicing and teaching yoga for more than 20 years. We want to remind you now AARP empowers people to choose how they live as they age. AARP is a nonpartisan 501c4 organization that has over 420,000 members in Alabama. AARP's role is to advocate for those 50 plus and their families. AARP Alabama is committed to offering opportunities for people to stay engaged from your home. The Mindful Movement series provides an opportunity for you to keep moving in the safety of your own home. Becca.
Good morning, Margie.
Good morning, Becca. Beautiful morning, isn't it?
It is a beautiful spring morning. We've had lots of lovely spring weather lately. Along with that, we've gotten some rain and stuff as well. You got to have both, right?
That's right. That's right. You got to have April showers, bring May flowers. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Can you tell us what we're going to be working on today?
Well, Margie, I thought today that I would focus on stretches and movements that are helpful for keeping our bodies in good shape with walking. It's sort of, I think of this as walking season. It's like the weather gets nicer. The flowers are blooming and it just feels good to get outside, and walking is, generally a very healthy, accessible activity for many people. So I thought today we'd focus on things that, might get sore or tight when we start doing a little more walking, or just ways to, kind of help the body feel good with getting out there for a walk.
Good way to start. Now, everybody, please remember that before you begin any exercise routine, you should consult with your physician to be sure it's safe to participate. All right, Becca, let's go ahead and get started.
All right. Well, today, in addition to the chair, which we're always going to use for our practice here with mindful movement, you might also utilize a strap or a belt. Now, this can be almost anything that isn't too stretchy, that isn't too elastic. So I have just a canvas, yoga belt, but you could use a dog leash, a belt from your closet, or the belt from your bathrobe. That makes a really good one, or even a long scarf or a towel could be useful. Now, if you don't have anything, or you don't feel like trying to find something, it's okay, because you'll be able to do a version of these stretches without the strap as well, and I'll be sure to guide you through that. But the strap might be a nice element to try for some of us, okay? So we're going to start seated like we usually do, a little bit of warm up for the body, and then, like I said, we're going to focus on, really the low back through the legs and the feet to stretch those calves, those hamstrings, those hips, for better just comfort and mobility with walking out there, which is, like I mentioned, a great healthy general activity. And I want to just encourage you to walk, not necessarily for exercise or for heart rate, but just move around, just as a way to get more movement into your life. Just take a stroll up and down your street if you can, or if you've got, somewhere that you're, running an errand, well, maybe you can walk from one store to the other instead of driving the car, depending on the distance. So just look for opportunities to add a little bit more walking to your life if you can. All right, so let's sit up tall in our chair. Any old sturdy chair, like from the kitchen or the dining room table, is going to work great for this. Sit so that you can get your feet firmly planted on the ground. All right, and sit tall, and take just a moment to close your eyes or gaze down at the floor. And we're just going to take a couple of deep breaths here and kind of just set our awareness into our body. All right, so nice, slow, full inhalation. See if you can feel yourself growing a little taller. Slow, complete exhalation. See if there's anything that can relax or soften, especially around the face, the shoulders. Do another breath like that. Nice big inhalation. Slow, complete exhalation. Again. One more time. Just focus on that breath. Deep breath in. Sit tall. Slow breath out. Good. Now let's just loosen up a bit the whole body. Turn the head side to side, right and left. Remember, any movements that I give you, any positions, they're all suggestions, and there's almost always an option. One option being you don't have to do anything that doesn't feel right for your body. But you can also make your movements smaller, bigger, slower, faster, or do fewer repetitions wherever is needed. All right, let's start to loosen up those shoulders and upper back with some nice shoulder rolls. Bring those shoulders forward a bit, up towards those ears, and then squeeze them back and down towards the waist. All right. You might take those deep breaths here. Inhale to bring the shoulders up. Exhale to drop them down. 3 more. Good. 1 more. Good. Now let's just do a little more for the arms. Take the arms down to your sides, turn the palms forward, and just raise those arms out and up as high as you're comfortable going. That might mean all the way overhead, and it might mean that you don't go that far. All right. So if your shoulder takes you to shoulder height and that's it, that's great. Move through the range that you have available. Try and inhale as you reach the arms up. Exhale as you bring them back down. 3 more of these. Two more. Okay, now in this next one, we're going to take it into a side stretch. So take the arms up as high as you want to take them. Drop one arm back down. The other arm can stay up high or come behind the head, and take a little lean over for your trunk, for your waist and your side body. And just lean into that stretch. I like to take that lower hand and brace it on the chair, kind of push away with it. All right, bring it back to center. Pause a moment. And then reach those arms up again. Take it to the other side. So remember, that top arm can be high, reaching up towards the ceiling. It could be on the back of your head if that's a better position for your shoulder. You can even drop the arm entirely and still bend through the torso and get some movement for that part of the body. Let's take another breath here. And release. Good. Now, a little bit more for the upper back, the spine. Let's pull back with those arms like you're squeezing those shoulder blades together, pulling back those hands near your shoulders. And then exhale, push forward, rounding that upper back somewhat. Inhale, pull, a little arch to that chest. Exhale, push. You might even drop your chin towards your chest. Good. 3 more of these. You can put as much movement here as you want. That means you can also choose to do a little smaller movement if that's better for you. Here in mindful movement sessions, we're about movement that's beneficial and mindful, not movement that's right or good or the biggest or the best. All right. It's going to be different for every person. Shake out those arms. All right. Now, just a little bit more for the spine. Then we're going to move down to warm up the legs. Let's do just some gentle twisting. Sit tall, turn in one direction. And if you'd like, bring your front hand across to that opposite knee. Be gentle with any press that you're putting there. Lift up through that chest. See if there's room to just spiral around any further. See what feels comfortable. And then release it. Come back to center. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale into that twist again. Other direction, of course. Maybe put that hand on the knee if you want. Good, and then come back to center. All right, we're going to start with the knees and the feet, ankles. We will get some warm up for the hips, but we're going to skip on down to those joints. So one leg, straighten and bend right here in the chair. You can hold on to the sides of the chair if you want a little more stability. Now make sure you're doing this movement slow enough that you have some good control over it. It's not a flinging of that leg around. We want to pull and push that leg. So we're using the muscles around the knee joint, getting them warmed up and getting that knee joint itself a little more loosened up. Good. And then relax, take that foot to the floor. And other leg, same movement, knee bends, knee straightens. Slow enough that you have good control of it. You can feel what's happening both in your knee joint and in your quad and your hamstring muscles. That's the front and back of your thigh. Good. All right, let that leg relax. All right, now let's move right on down to the toes. I'm pretty sure you can see them, but you don't really have to see. I'm sure they're pretty small in your screen. But what I want you to do is to see if you can pick up and spread out your toes. Now, you can do this even if you're in socks and shoes, although you obviously might have a little more room if you're not in clothes. But the idea is just to get some awareness, wake up those areas of the body, try to get some mobility in those toes. All right, let the toes relax. Go ahead and give them a little scrunch next, like you're trying to scrunch the toes into the floor underneath, or scrunch your sock or your shoe, and then spread them back out, lift them, open them up, try to really get the pinky toes to activate. You may have to really concentrate or even look at those pinky toes to help them participate. And then let's do the scrunch or the curling again. Now, as we do these a couple more rounds, I want you to notice what you feel or what's happening with the arch of your foot. All right, so go back and forth. Lift and spread the toes. Scrunch and curl the toes. Back and forth. See if you notice some activation or some movement happening in the arch of your foot. Maybe you'll notice the shin bones, okay, or the shin muscles rather, here on the front, activating a little bit. When you lift and spread those toes, they get tight. All right, now just a little more foot movement. This time I want you to see if you can roll your feet in and out. Now, it's real easy for the knees to do this motion, okay? So my knees are going in and out. That's not really isolating to my foot. So you're gonna try to keep your knees still. And see if you can roll a little bit to the pinky edge of your foot. Roll a little bit more to the big toe edge of your foot. It's not a big movement. It's going to be hard to control. But again, even if you feel like, oh, I'm not really making this movement, the attempt with your brain and your attention is a good start, and it is beneficial. So we're just trying to roll this middle part of the foot is where most of this mobility comes. We call this the midfoot, or sometimes also called the forefoot and midfoot. And this is just to try to get some mobility. It's also helpful for our ankles. All right, now let's pick up one foot and work directly with the ankle. Some big circles. Okay, go the other direction, maybe a tad slower. I encourage you to look at your foot as it's moving. This helps you connect your brain to it. Okay, let that foot come down, other leg up, circle. Look at that foot and ankle as it goes around. Reverse direction. Good. All right, and then put that back down. All right, now just one more little thing for the feet while we're seated. Pick up those the balls of the feet. So just pick up the fronts of the foot. You're on your heel, and I want you to take your toes, your feet out and in. So again, this is not a movement at the knee, so don't let your thighs do any wobble. All right, keep them steady. Just see if you can move the feet themselves, kind of pivoting on that heel out and in. This is just toning, strengthening for the ankle, some of the muscles around the ankle joint, just to provide a little more stability. You'll feel some fatigue perhaps in the fronts of your shins. Remember, you can take a break at any time. Okay, good. Relax. Now just stretch one foot out, and I want you just to point the toes. This is going to stretch a little bit some of that stuff we were just working here. And then the other one, stretch it out. Now we're about to use that strap. Okay. Remember, there's going to be an option if you don't have a strap or a belt or something appropriate to use. Remember, a long scarf will work. Really anything that just has enough length for you to reach your foot with it. So we're going to do a stretch for the hamstrings. Take one foot out. Pull up those toes like we've been working on. Now, if you don't have a strap, this is where you stay. You have that leg stretched out. You maybe lean into it. You're all good. You're getting some stretch on the back of your leg probably. If you happen to have a strap or a belt or a scarf, you're going to just lasso, kind of the ball of your foot with it and give it a little extra pull. Now you're pulling the foot itself a little bit more back, but you could also lift your leg up by using that strap if you want to. And this is going to take you through that stretch, sit up tall. That also helps. So remember, maybe with the strap coming up, you could keep the foot on the ground even with the strap. You can do the lean forward without the strap. Okay, and still get some stretch. So let's take about 3 more breaths. Stretch in the back of that leg all the way down to the calf and the sole of the foot. We'll do some more calf stretches in a moment when we get out of the chair. All right, let's bring this down. Shake out those hands if you were holding the strap. Wiggle the fingers. Notice how that leg feels, the one that you just stretched compared to the other one. And then let's do the other side. So you're sticking that foot out, maybe the heel on the ground to start with, the toes up. Maybe a little lean forward to feel a little more stretch. If you got your strap or your belt, you're going to put that around the ball of the foot. Help give a little pull on the foot itself. And maybe help elevate that leg, pull that leg up. Keep reaching through the heel, sit tall, find the stretch that works for you. So you've given you lots of different ways or places that you can do this with or without the strap. Let's take a couple more breaths. Good. And let's release it. All right. We're going to use the strap again, but in a little bit. So you can just put it back on the chair or wherever you need to put it. Let's stand up and do a few things in standing. All right, now we're going to use that chair for some support. All right, so go ahead and just get in a position where you can just touch the back of the chair. That way you have something to balance with as needed. If you don't need the balance, you don't have to keep a hold of the chair if you don't want to. All right, so we're going to start with a calf stretch. So let's take one leg back. And how far back you step depends on what works for your body, right? So you want to step back far enough that you're getting some angle on that foot, okay? But not so far back that you can't get your heel down to the ground, okay? So you're going to push into that back heel and then just lean. The whole body tries to shift forward. The more we shift forward, the more angle stretch we put on that back calf. I'm going to take a couple breaths here. 2 more breaths. It's okay to pulse gently if you like that kind of in and out with a stretch. Now, we're going to stay in the same basic position, but I want you to bring that back leg just a little bit in at least. So we're in a pretty short stance now, and we're going to keep our weight more centered or in the middle, not leaning forward anymore. And I want you to see if you can bend that back knee. Now, your front knee is going to be a little bent as well, and I want you to really see if you can sink your weight or your body weight into that back heel. All right. Now, this is maybe a stranger feeling stretch. There's, puts a little pull on the knee for some people. That's okay as long as it's not painful. And it puts a deeper stretch on those calf muscles. Get some of those muscles that are a little further in, closer to the bones of the shin there. Take another 2-3 breaths. It's also ankle mobility. It puts that ankle at a deeper bend. All right, stand it up. I want you to pick up that leg that you were just stretching and just circle that foot and ankle. Good, and then let's go the other side. Start with the longer stride, okay? Straight knee there on the back leg. Shift forward any amount, both with a bend of the front knee and a lean forward of the torso to put that stretch on that back leg in the calf. Good, couple breaths here. Right, now we switch to that, what's sometimes called a soleus stretch. Soleus is just the name of one of the muscles in your calf. Step that back leg in a bit. Try to get your weight more centered between the two legs and then sink. Bend the knee. Try to keep your heel on the ground and just sort of sink into your back foot, your back heel. See if you feel that sensation. It may be a little shaky as well. It requires a little more stability from the legs to hold this position. Good. And then let's come on up and just pick up that foot and circle it out, that ankle. All right, now a little stretch for the whole backs of the legs and the spine. Hands on the top of your chair, walk both feet back, hips back. And we're coming into what I like to call a downward facing dog variation. So this is a variation that uses the chair, gives us that opportunity to lengthen out through the spine, put some stretch through the backs of the legs. So you can decide whether you want to keep your knees a little bent or whether you feel okay going a little straighter. The straighter the legs, the more stretch for the backs of the thighs. The softer the knees, the more you can probably stretch into your spine. So both are good. All right, now from here, let's step the left foot forward. So this looks similar to what we did for our calf, but we're going to do it a little differently, more for the front thigh and hip. So come up with the chest. Try to get a really good squeeze of your buttock this time. All right. If your back heel comes off the ground, that's okay here. So either way, whatever works for you. We're trying to really tuck the tail so that we open up some of the front hip. And then if you can reach up that right arm, add a stretch up. Good. This is helping us to stretch our hip flexors. In just a moment, we're going to move down to stretching the quads. That's going to be the other one where we use the strap. All right, let's release this side. The arm comes down. Step it back again to our downward facing dog for a couple breaths before we go to the other side. Sometimes it's nice when you're out for a walk to just find a tree or a fence or a bench or something and do this stretch. Just stretch out the spine, especially if you tend to feel like you get tight in your lower back after walking or while walking. This could be a way to help with that. Now the right foot steps forward. We've got the left leg back. Remember, it's okay to be off your heel on this one if you need to. We're staying a little more upright, shoulders over the hips, not our lean forward, and really focus on squeezing that glute, so that left glute. Lift up from your belly. So we're trying to get a pretty strong tuck of the tail to help us open up the front hip. And then if you want to reach up that left arm, you can add that stretch up for the ceiling. And of course, I want you to breathe once you find your stretch. Good. And then release it. And we're going to stretch back one more time with both feet, both hips back. Lengthen it out. All right, now walking it on in, we're going to stretch the quad. I'm going to show you two ways to do it. So if you don't think this first way with the strap is something that's going to work for you, just hold on and I'll show an option in just a moment. Now, if you're going to use the strap, it's going to basically just loop around your ankle. And you can hold on to the chair, and then you're just using that strap to help you bend your knee. Now, some of us may be able to reach and actually grab the foot and not need to use the strap, okay? But a lot of times the knee joint doesn't want to bend quite that far, or you might have to arch your back in a way that's uncomfortable, so using the strap is helpful, okay? All right, so if you want to work with the strap, great, you hold on to something. If you don't have a strap, make sure you can hold on somewhere, but you can stand in front of your chair and put your foot in the seat of the chair so that your knee is bent, and this also will help to stretch the front of the quad. So wherever it is that you are, holding your foot with your hand, holding your foot with your strap, or using the chair, let's all tuck the tail, lift the belly to get that more opening on that front thigh. Good. We're going to take just a couple more breaths here. If you've been there a long time because you did the very first thing, then feel free to come out when you're ready. All right, release that side. Just shake out those legs a little bit. You're going to take it to the other side. So maybe you need to turn around, so that you can still hold on to whatever it is that you're holding on to. You can use the hand grabbing the foot. You can use the belt or the strap. You can put your foot in the chair like I showed you just a moment ago. Okay, so find what works best for you. And then get that tuck of the tail. That glute is active. Lift up through the belly. All right, then let's release it. Now we're going to sit in the chair next, and I'm going to show you another stretch that really gets a similar area. So if neither one of those or any of those options really felt great for you, maybe this one in the chair is a better option. We'll turn a little bit sideways, drop the knee down in front of the chair, give that squeeze of the buttock, lift up of the belly, and maybe add that arm to stretch up towards the ceiling. So this is just another way to get some stretch for the front hip, front thigh, quad muscles. You can even do the bend of the knee here, bringing that hand or even the strap to the foot and bringing it into a deeper stretch. Okay, again, that won't work for everybody. The knee bend is pretty, intense for some knees, so you find what works for you. All right, let's release that side. Go ahead and do that on the other side. So start with essentially what looks like a lunge, but sitting in the chair so you have that support and balance. Squeeze the glutes, lift the belly, reach the arm up as an option. Good, maybe hand to the foot, bending that knee further. You could also be using your strap for that. Good. Let's release it. Turn back around to the front. Now we're going to do one more stretch for the legs. This is going to be for the hips. We've done this one plenty in our other sessions. It's called figure 4. Cross the ankle to your knee. That's too high for your hip. Cross the ankle to just below the knee or to the shin. You want to stretch that leg out. If you got yoga blocks or some kind of stool or low, box, you might put your foot up on that instead. Sit nice and tall. Maybe that's plenty. You feel a lot of stretch in your hip, then you just stay right there. If you feel like you can take a little bit more with that stretch, you might lean forward with it. Then we'll take about 3 more breaths here. Good. And release it. Let's switch sides. Find that place that you're going to cross for this other side. On the knee, lower down on the leg, or on some other support. Sit tall. That's the first step. Might be plenty sitting tall. Maybe you add some amount of lean with a straight spine. That will get you more stretch in the hip. Good. And then release it. Sit back tall. Maybe scoot back in your chair if you want a little more support. Feet on the floor, hands on your thighs, maybe close the eyes. Just take a few breaths. See if you can be aware of the parts of the body we worked with today. We did a lot of work with the feet, ankles, calves. We did a lot of work for those thighs, front and back stretches, and then a bit for stretching out the spine and the hips. All right, and then you can open your eyes with your next breath in. Go ahead and just bring your hands to your heart as a way of saying thank you. Thanks to your own body for participating. Thanks to AARP of Alabama for hosting. And I hope I'll see you next time on Mindful Movement. And I hope you get out and enjoy some walks in this spring weather.
Thank you so much, Becca. It makes me feel ready to get out and do some walking in this great spring weather.
Good.
Thank you so much for everyone for watching today. And we want you to return again on Tuesdays for Mindful Movement beginning at 10 o'clock. So everyone, we have a few commercial breaks that we would like for you to watch. And we'll see you next time on Mindful Movement. Thank you for watching.
Bye, everybody.
Boom.